Hello, how are you doing? Today I wanted to talk about the Evelyn Glennie motion picture, Touch the Sound, a sound journey with Evelyn Glennie. Just before getting into the film, I just wanted to kind of talk about why I watched this film and how I obtained it, because it's actually quite an interesting story. I went to the Visit the Collection tour that the Dame Evelyn Glennie Foundation holds in Cambridgeshire, which is near where Evelyn lives, I believe. And they did say that she's present there most mornings, so I think she must live near there still. But yeah, I went to this instrument tour. It was an absolutely amazing experience. I cannot recommend it enough. It was like being treated to the back room of a museum where you see all the things that they haven't put out yet, or you can be taken round and shown each artifact in detail by the curator, who was called Caroline, I believe, and she was so passionate and spoke so well. She was just a really interesting person. She knew lots about the instruments. I believe, was a singer herself, so she didn't know how to play any, but still, demonstrated. And yeah, apparently Evelyn's there most days, so if you're lucky enough to go at one of those times, then she can often hijack the tours, apparently, and just go on for hours and hours and hours because she's so passionate about the project. But yeah, it's literally just a room of shelves and shelves of instruments from all over the world, from percussion to things like a theremin, bells, a lot of instruments from Evelyn's personal life as well. You get to hold the drumstick and play the first snare drum that Evelyn was given when she was 12, I think, after she stopped learning piano, I believe. And, obviously they show you pictures and things and artifacts from her own life. It was amazing because they might show, for example, a picture of Evelyn playing the recorder as a child, and then they would just pull out the exact same recorder from the picture all those years ago. It was absolutely amazing. It was free entry as well, which I just thought was amazing because it's such a wonderful thing that they're doing, and it felt like such an honour and a privilege to be shown around all those wonderful things of, let's be honest, one of the artists of our generation. She's really not appreciated enough for all that she's done for the education system, for the music industry. Aside from the simply miraculous back catalogue of music that this woman has managed to create, I'm just more amazed the more I find out about her. It's like she's lived so many lives in a few decades. It's absolutely remarkable. So because it was free entry, they obviously encouraged donations to help support, and I was very quick to donate. I was incredibly keen to. And as a bonus, they kind of offer not merch, but CDs, and one of the things was this DVD, which I hadn't heard of. I tried researching kind of documentaries about Evelyn because I was so keen to learn more about her. I didn't stumble across this because this isn't really a documentary. I didn't know what to expect going into it. But if you've not seen it, just to kind of give you an idea of what it's about, it is not really about Evelyn's life. It is more a documentary or a musical motion picture about sound, and it's kind of demonstrated kind of via Evelyn Glennie being the host in a way, and through various collaborations with Japanese bands and bands that she's improvised with around the world, and mainly her collaborator for this film was Fred Frith, the guitarist, who's created some wonderful, wonderful stuff, and this documentary is no exception. But it does obviously touch on Evelyn's personal life and, how she approaches music and how she overcomes the obstacles that she faces. But it's more about sound in general and kind of learning to appreciate sound in our everyday lives. So what a better place to start than the start? And the opening shot for this is directed, by the way, by Thomas Riedelsheimer, which I am definitely pronouncing wrong, but that's my best attempt. But yeah, it's beautifully shot. The direction in this is gorgeous, and the opening shot is the perfect example of this, because it zooms in at first on a huge gong that was actually at the Evelyn Glennie Foundation, and I got to play it as well. It was an amazing instrument. It's absolutely enormous. So Evelyn starts by playing the gong very gently, and then as she increases the beat and plays more aggressively, the camera zooms out and it ends up, it's kind of like a drone shot, but before drone shots. It zooms out of the window of this huge warehouse that she's performing in. And that introduces the film, and then we move into New York, into the metro station, where Evelyn does this absolutely incredible solo snare drum piece. Improv, I believe, and again, the direction is just beautiful. There's kind of panning across the crowd, and then we get to see the inside of the drums Evelyn's playing, and the way it zooms into her hands, and you can start off with such a simple beat and then develop it into this most soaring soundscape just from this one instrument and this really simple idea. She makes it look completely effortless. It's remarkable. Then we get some intermittent shots of New York, just showing off how much sound makes up our lives without us even noticing. With a small excerpt of Evelyn improvising with her street dancer, just with cans on the floor. It's a remarkable scene. The way their rhythms just bounce off each other and they can, play off one another's ideas, even though it's two different mediums. It was amazing to see. Then we get introduced to the main collaborator for this film, Fred Frith, as they walk into this empty warehouse that Evelyn was just performing in. And they're just kind of experimenting with sounds. There's one fantastic scene where Fred is sat on an amplifier, I believe, and kind of playing a beat on the amp, and Evelyn sat behind him and kind of playing partly on the amp and partly on his back and on his body with drumsticks. It's a really funny scene. Their chemistry is amazing. And then we move into Aberdeenshire, where obviously she grew up, and we kind of talk about her personal life, where she introduces her hearing loss from the ages 8 to 12, I believe, while she was still learning piano and before she kind of delved into the world of percussion. But still she's experimenting with sounds. And then we have this wonderful scene where she goes back to her old school, and she's kind of talking about how the teachers adapted to her hearing loss with microphones. And we just get a scene where Evelyn's in the music room with one of these students, and kind of just teaching her how Evelyn does what she does, and kind of introducing the world of music to this deaf child who I don't think had any opportunities like that before. And it just really showed off what a lovely and passionate person Evelyn is, just on a human level, aside from all the, miraculous musical achievements. She's just such a wonderful, wonderful person with the best intentions and the kindest of hearts. And then we move on to a stunning rooftop performance. I believe back in New York. And then this is followed by a extremely funny anecdotes by Fred Frith as they're all gathered around a table eating dinner. About I won't give everything away because I really encourage you to watch this motion picture. It's an amazing film. But how he was kind of overcoming writing a string quartet while he was battling pneumonia. It sounds very dark, but it's such a funny story, and he tells it extremely well. Then we move into Japan, where Evelyn visits Fuji, and we get introduced to this Japanese band. And it starts off with Evelyn improvising with just one of the musicians on a big Japanese drum, and Evelyn's on some bongos, I believe. And the way they bounce off each other musically is just... You really feel like you're witnessing something special when you hear this. The way that they've basically just met, and one person just starts playing and then Evelyn joins in, and you end up with these remarkable textures and developments of themes. Oh, such talent in that room, honestly. The musicians are incredible, Evelyn's incredible, and the way they react to each other and collaborate without any pre-planned, preparation. It's just amazing. And then we get a wonderful final performance with the full band, lots of percussive sounds. We've got cymbals, we've got bells, we've got the triangle, I believe. And just generally more percussive sounds with a thicker texture, lots more Japanese drums. An amazing performance, a really remarkable band. And then we get a gorgeous Fred Frith improvisation, where he's bowing the guitar and Evelyn's on the steel pan, I believe, and possibly the marimba or vibraphone or something else along the side, but for a very brief period. It's mainly bowed guitar and steel pan. It is just a gorgeous, gorgeous sound, very minimal and soothing and calm. Evelyn kind of plays the steel pan and it sounds like a vibraphone. It's very relaxing and just really calm and a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Most of this music is from a CD, so I'm not sure if that's an official track from the CD. I've not listened to the CD. It's not on streaming services, so I think I've not looked on Amazon, but I assume you just have to buy it off Amazon, or as a physical CD. I don't think it exists in any other form, unless it's on iTunes or something. I'm not sure. Then we move into a back in Japan. We have another improvisation with a new band in a pub or a bar, where Evelyn asks the barman for any glasses or chopsticks or anything that she can make a sound with, essentially, and she just lays it all out on the floor. You can see her kind of arranging it and thinking through what sound she's going to make and what layout would best suit her, her improvisation. And it's just amazing seeing how she develops these ideas from nothing, and in a few minutes, a few seconds, to be honest. And you can just see how the rest of the bar is absolutely mesmerized by her, as I was, seeing this for the first time. Then we move into one of my highlights of the motion picture, a gorgeous, gorgeous piece, an actual performance this time, with Evelyn on marimba and a very minimal arrangement with the Japanese band. We've got some very vague fiddle, but it's mainly marimba and piano, just with some very kind of simple tinkling motifs on the piano, and Evelyn doing these very simple chord changes, but it's just absolutely mesmerizing. A beautiful, beautiful piece. If you can find that on YouTube individually, then I highly recommend. And then we move into kind of more of a spoken section of the film, which speaks about silence, and we have this very interesting point that Evelyn makes, that there's no true kind of concept of silence, and that something's always happening or making a sound even if we can't necessarily hear it. Our bodies are always making a sound. The sound of our blood moving around our veins is making a sound, our heart beating. Anything we can't hear, there are always sounds happening. And she'd made this very interesting comparison to death, in that taking all those things away and having true silence, were it possible, would be the closest thing to death. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating, because, as a deaf person, you kind of just assume that they can't hear. That you just think silence, but it's really not that. It's really, the way Evelyn describes it, it's really quite the opposite in how she uses the rest of her body as a resonating chamber, and that the rest of her senses kind of make up for the lost one sense. And she makes the interesting point that that's kind of what the sixth sense is about. So yeah, amazing excerpt on silence. Then we have a short interview with Fred about the importance of listening and improvisation and collaboration, which kind of just shows off why they work so much as a duo and why their chemistry works so well. Then in the final sections of the film, we move into Evelyn's kind of home farm where she grew up, and where her brother still manages the farm, where we have a short interview between them both about their childhood and their musical family history, about their father and their mother, showing pictures that I saw in person at the Evelyn Glennie Foundation. So that was very cool, kind of recognising the things I'd seen in person in this film. And as always, as the percussionist we know she is, she's trying out sounds, picking out drain pipes and pieces of wood from around the farm, hitting them with various things, seeing what sounds she can create. And then we have a really profound kind of interview with Evelyn about the death of her father, and how she kind of still carries her spirit, his spirit, with her, and how that for a brief period everything that she did was kind of for him in a way, and to make him proud, and to do things that she thought that he would like, and then it took her a long time to, I think, move on from that. But yeah, a really powerful piece that. Then we have some more Japanese improvisation, and then we move into my personal highlight of the entire film, with a closing marimba piece of just Evelyn as a soloist, which I feel like we very rarely see, because she's so keen to collaborate and kind of have a motive behind her performances, and do something for a reason, and kind of help bring underappreciated artists into the scene, that we very rarely just have a solo performance from Evelyn. But this solo piece on marimba is just the most beautiful thing. The direction again is gorgeous. The close-ups of the mallets, the close-up on her feet, you can see she very rarely wears shoes while she's performing, so she can feel the vibrations from the ground up, and it's quite a long piece, and then it just fades to black and goes to the end credits, and it's absolutely mesmerizing. And yeah, that closes the film, and it's called A Sound Journey with Evelyn Glennie, and it really is a journey. It wasn't what I expected, which was a documentary about Evelyn, so if that's what you're after, then this isn't that. And if you do know of anything like that is out there, then please let me know, because I would love to watch it and discuss it with you, hopefully. If you have seen this film, please, I would love to know your thoughts. If you haven't, I would highly recommend that you do. And please, I cannot stress enough how much you should go to the Evelyn Glennie Foundation if you're within proximity. I'm not even that close. I travelled, I think, 3 hours to go. The tour lasted about 2 hours, and it was absolutely worth it. Within half an hour, it felt worth it, to be honest, and I was just gripped for the entire period I was there. So yeah, please show your support any way you can. But yeah, other than that, I will love you and leave you. Thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye bye.